Oh.
Okay, so we are going to start now. Shravan, you probably want to, okay, yeah, that's great, that's great. All right, good afternoon. So today is a special section. We do Indian philosophy. So we have a Shravan here, and let's have wait for a few minutes. And then if you have any question or any suggestion or any question to Shravan, okay, our presenter today, you can ask, or you want to introduce yourself. If you are the first time or you have been here many times, you can.
Hi, Shravan. I'm Madeline. I just wanted to say thank you for coming and doing this today. This is great.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, Shravan, you probably don't know Pin is our
Pin,
host. And
I know Pin. I had asked, I have spoken with him before.
Oh, okay, that's great. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, so
thank you, Shravan.
Yeah, so we want to make this one as like a collective, organization. Everybody, you have interest, and then you have your own idea. Come here to present, and then or host a discussion. So we will try to build a community. So we can taste the different flavor, understand people in different way. So let's view, today is amazing. We have, I do the head count, we have 98 people sign up, but I know they have a, a lot of redundancy. But
a lot of pressure on me. This is my first time.
Did you say 98 signed up?
There's 98 sign up, but today a lot of people, because sign up is free, right? So you sign up, people like sign up in many group, and then to the point that they will decide whether or not to show up. But anyway.
But Jason, when I looked on the meetup, I don't think it showed 98 people. Is there?
No, because this one show up in like 6, before was 5, right now it's in 6 meetup group. So.
Oh, okay. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, and I really thought about combine all together in one meetup, but one day I forget to post on one group. I think it's a Toronto group, and somebody emailed me, say, "Oh, you have no meetup?" Or no, I say, "Oh yeah, I have a meetup. I just forget to post." So turn out to become like I have to become my obligation to post on all the group.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, and then thank you everybody to sacrifice your Saturday afternoon and join us. And then we have been in mostly Chinese philosophy and some Buddhism, and then we try to expand, have a different flavor, and people will have understand. And I believe I will have assumed today most people have no idea or very few idea about the Hinduism or special on the Bhagavad Gita. So so that's why we will consider this one is the first introduction, and will depend on everybody to react, and we probably will have a continue and make sure if Shravan have a good time, and Shravan will continue to present. And then okay, so let me give you, because a lot of people, so let me give you. Okay, so let's officially start, and let me give you some background. Okay, I always interested in the first for the person that's the first time. My name is Jason. We have been running this one since this March, every Saturday, 1 o'clock Pacific time or 4 o'clock New York time. We have been in this one since I think since March. I never stopped. Okay, so we have been in the different area, and the next week we are going to talk about the what's it? 36 stratagems and the art of war. We have been talking about in August, but we haven't finished. We only talk about the first part of art of war, and then we have no chance to talk about the 36 stratagems. And some people request. Okay, so I think that would be make sense. So next week I'm going to talk about 36 stratagems, and then if we have time, we will continue to talk about the art of war. And this time I'm going to shift the focus a little bit. Instead of read the original text, we will read the original text, but we will shift the application to the business. So that's why I ask everybody to read the one article from Forbes talking about 36 stratagems related to the business or psychological warfare. Okay, so that's for next week. And today we are going to talk about the Bhagavad Gita. My experience is I have been in the meetup, New York group meetup for Bhagavad Gita for 18 weeks. There's 18 chapters. So I've been there. I think I only missed one section. And I find out I start to understand Buddhism much better. So I always want to introduce this one in our group, but I know it sounds ridiculous if I present it because just like, some people just take some time read Confucius analog and they come here to talk. So I'd better have somebody support. And I talked to Shravan, and Shravan has been in the meetup, and he kind of like, provide his background because he can read in the original text. And during the meetup, I understand how difficult to translate from one language to another language. At least I know how difficult to translate from Chinese to English. And if you only read English, how much you miss, how much you have misunderstood about the original meaning, and also lack of the cultural background. Okay, so we have great to have Shravan here, and he's going to give a brief introduction. And probably, I think Shravan want to go through the different chapter, but it's not possible to complete. So ask question, okay, and please raise your, since we have a lot of people here, so if during the presentation, please raise your hand if you have a question, or you can type. Okay, I'm going to monitor the chat and I will call the people. So I will call the people and to interrupt Shravan for the interruption. So Shravan, and then that's all yours. And please start, Shravan.
So no raise, you don't want us to use the reaction button to raise the hands?
No. Please raise your hand on the reaction button.
Okay.
Please raise, yeah. Because Shravan will be happy to be interrupted. But since we have a big crowd, so I will suggest everybody raise your hand, and then I will call the people. And I believe to the end, we will always have some time to ask question for some more personal, some specific question, and further discussion. Okay, so let's start.
Okay, so basically the way what I have planned is like I have picked few verses from different chapters. The Bhagavad Gita, each verse is very deep and it requires a lot of analysis and discussion to understand. So what I have done is I have selected only those that I found that are more important and that is close to the essence of Gita, and that is what I'm planning to present here. And we'll try to cover as much as possible and see like and if you feel that you can't follow what I am saying, or you have any question, you can stop me, because the main thing is to understand as much as possible rather than misunderstanding Gita, which has it can be disastrous if you try to implement that in your life with a misunderstanding. So Bhagavad Gita basically not it's a basically song of the Lord. Gita means song, and Bhagavad Gita is part of an epic called Mahabharata, what we call as Itihas or history. And Mahabharata has around 110,000 verses, of which around 750 make for Bhagavad Gita. Now, I will start the Bhagavad Gita. The essence of Gita resides in basically creation, dharma, and karma. These are the primary or the key things that it focuses on, especially the part of creation and dharma. So I am starting the I'll start with the verse that comes from Rigveda, that is called Nasadiya Sukta. That Rigveda was basically Rigveda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, and Atharvaveda, 4 Vedic books. Those are the foundation of our culture, and basically that is they are the most ancient books that are far behind, or thousands of years ago, before Mahabharata was written. So at those time, how their thought was that it gives a good idea. So I'll start with that. One second. Okay. All right. This is called a Nasadiya Sukta, or hymn of not non-existence. So let me just read it out. There was neither non-existence nor existence then, neither the realm of space nor the sky which is beyond. What stayed where, in whose protection? There was neither death nor immortality then, no distinguishing sign of night nor of day. That one breathed, windless by its own impulse. Other than that, there was nothing beyond. Darkness there was at first, by darkness hidden. Without distinctive marks, this all was water. That which, becoming by the void, was covered, that one by force of heat came into being. Who really knows? Who will here proclaim it? Whence was it produced? Whence is this creation? Gods came afterwards with the creation of this universe. Who then knows whence it was arisen? Whether gods will created it, or whether he was mute. Perhaps it formed itself, or perhaps it did not. Only he who is its overseer in highest heaven knows. Only he knows, or perhaps he does not know. So this gives the thought process that were happening in those times about the creation. Now, why I have added this is because Bhagavad Gita focuses on the creation itself. Now, coming to the let me just hide the view.
Shravan, okay. Aishwari has a question.
Yes,
Yeah.
hello everyone. Good afternoon. I just wanted to quickly ask Shravan that how did we move on from Bhagavad Gita to learning about this sukta or this hymn from the Rig Veda? Like, what's the connection between the two?
So yeah, so basically what I'm saying is the Rig Veda was written much that was the one of the first books, right? And Bhagavad Gita, as I present, you will understand that it is mainly focused on the creation, and Krishna explains basically how the creation happens, and things of time and etc. So that is why I have added this here, so that you can start thinking in those directions. And the dharma and karma, they are all based on the sustenance of the creation.
I see. Thank you so much.
So as I explain, you will get the background why I have added this, so that you can start thinking in those directions. All right. So, so okay. So the Bhagavad Gita basically, like I said, it's part of Mahabharata, and Mahabharata basically ends up in a. It has a war where it is called Kurukshetra war, and between Pandavas and Kauravas. Now that war um, is basically it happens to protect dharma, because the Kauravas who have been performing adharma, to uh, eliminate them, the Pandavas and Kauravas, they have a war. And on the Pandavas side, basically you have Arjuna, who is a warrior, and Lord Krishna, who is his charioteer. And here on the left side, you see this is King Dhritarashtra. He is father of Duryodhana. He is on the Kaurava side, the opposition, and his father. He is blind, and his advisor Sanjaya, basically is sitting next to him in the kingdom, and he has been given divine vision. So basically he can see what's happening in the battlefield. So at that time, Dhritarashtra basically asks Sanjaya, धर्मक्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे समवेता युयुत्सवः mamaka pandavaschaiva kima kurvata sanjaya, means in the place of dharma. The first word is itself is dharma. So in the place of dharma in Kurukshetra, the place of Kurus, or the place called Kurukshetra, dharma kshetre Kurukshetre samaveta, all my kins and the Pandavas, what did they do? So basically he asks Sanjaya, because Dhritarashtra, he is blind, and Sanjaya then he starts explaining. That's the first chapter. He gives the all the people who are present in all the kings that they had, those kings from far places who have arrived, all the family members, brothers, sons, fathers, grandfathers, acharyas or gurus, all of them who all are present in the battlefield. Now, like I said, this Bhagavad Gita, since it is based on the creation and dharma, I will start explaining why, what is dharma, because the first word itself is dharma, and the war happens to protect dharma. So here, dharma basically means Dhriyate anena lokaha, means one that upholds many worlds. So basically many worlds means the entire cosmos, everything that exists, to uphold that creation, that is dharma. That concept is dharma. And dharma, basically it has two parts, basically the sustenance of the creation and evolution, that is to reach a higher state of being. Now I'll explain that further later. And the karma is action. Karma basically means action, and the action that has to be performed by humans to uphold the dharma. That is what basically what he explains in the Gita. So what actions one has to do to sustain the creation, and also to reach, not just sustain, to reach a higher creativity or higher evolutionary state. And that is what he explains in with the concept of karma. And Krishna is said to be Purna Avatara, that is, he is complete avatara or complete state of incarnation, and he in both mind and body. So the supreme state of evolutionary state, or a higher being, that has both two parts, that is the physical and the psychological, both have to reach that higher state. So that is Krishna represents that. Now I will add I'll this so this I created to explain where Krishna stands. So 1 second.
So let's stop here for a while. I just want to make sure everybody understand the concept, of karma, dharma, and then my body, this kind of thing. I think that probably, yeah. So Madeline have a question. Yeah, please.
Yes, this is a much more concrete question. What was the reason for the war? Was there an ostensible reason or just a war?
No, there were multiple reasons, several reasons. First of all, the kingdom of the Pandavas, that was taken by Kauravas by cheating, and they were sent to live in forest for, I think, around 13 years or so. And their agreement was that when they return back, that land or the kingdom has to be given back. But they don't do that. For that, and that not that alone, there are so many other reasons. I don't know all of them, but this is one of the main reasons that they don't return the kingdom back. So for that reason, because they don't keep their agreement, the war happens.
Hey Shravan, if I speak up, can I just summarize what causes the war in like 1 or 2 minutes, if you don't mind?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so Dhritarashtra that Shravan explained, he is one of the elder brothers, and so he is blind. So he is supposed to inherit the kingdom, but he doesn't inherit the kingdom. So his younger brother gets the kingdom. So he's angry, right? So, and then his son, who is Duryodhana, who is part of that tree that Shravan showed. So he is trying to play games to get the kingdom for his son, because in his mind, he thinks he needs to, that is his way to get it, right? So, and they're playing all kinds of tricks because in their mind, they are right. So that's what causes this war, is that people are adopting evil means to get to the kingdom, which is the Kauravas. And Pandavas get it because they inherit the kingdom because he's a healthy son. He's not blind, the father of Arjuna and stuff like that. So that is what causes the war, basically.
Okay, thank you. We have Thai. You have a question about the what does the hymn agree or disagree? Do you want to ask in person or?
Well, actually, I'd rather let him go ahead and get through.
Okay.
That might
Yeah,
be preserved for the
agree
end
with
of the if we have time. Because
Yeah.
honestly, I was asking a science question and I don't know.
Okay, great.
There-
Yeah, I
yeah,
also
okay.
agree. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So please specific as the question to this moment. Okay. So I know somebody probably read ahead. Just make sure you can continue. I think that's important. Okay. So we have a lot of hands up. So please make sure answer your question to the point. I know everybody have a lot of questions. So Rupana, please.
I have two questions, and maybe you can help me. The first one is I have heard that Mahabharata and Ramayana are two epic poetries of South Asia, just like Iliad and what's the other one?
The Odyssey.
Right. That's what it is. Or is it like that's what I've heard, but is it also a like the holy book, like the Quran or the Bible or the Torah? Is that what it is for Hinduism? Number one. Number two, someone told me that there's 350,000, if I'm not wrong, deities in Hinduism. And Krishna is the manifestation of each. And so Ram is really Krishna, Shiva is really Krishna, Brahma is really Krishna. Could you explain those two things for me, please?
Yeah. Yeah, sure. So I'm not aware of Iliad or Odyssey. I haven't read those. Basically, Ramayana and Mahabharata, we consider them as itihasa. Itihasa means history. So we consider these as things that have actually happened. And basically, Mahabharata is like around 15 times of both Iliad and Odyssey combined together. So it is a very huge book, and it is not one fundamental thing that I think it is good to know. Like you mentioned about Quran or other religious texts, all Indian texts, all scriptures, they are only descriptive. They are not prescriptive. That means there is no force, or there is no need to follow the books or the scriptures. They only give a description, and it is up to you whether you want to follow that or not. That is the main thing. That is the fundamental difference between any other religion or religious books than Hinduism, or what we call as Vedic Dharma. So even Bhagavad Gita, it is not a prescription, it is a description. It is up to you whether to follow it or not. That's one fundamental difference. Even Krishna at the end of the Gita says, Yatechasi tata kuru, means now I have told you everything. Now you do as you wish. You do a very, without any, you understand everything fully or completely, don't leave out anything. Then after you have understood that, then you do as you wish. So that is the difference. Now yeah, multiple deities, I will come to that. So there is even Krishna explains the multiple deities, and I will explain in this in the next slide.
Yeah, thank you. We have Claudia and Nari. Claudia, please.
Thank you, Jason. You showed us that poem early on. Obviously, it's important, right, to Bhagavad Gita. Otherwise, you wouldn't have shown us. Obviously, it influenced Bhagavad Gita. I was wondering if you'd be kind enough to explain the first line, because it seems contradictory or confusing. Maybe you can elaborate. The primordial entity that both exists and does not exist. That's what does that mean? Do you know?
See, I haven't read the actual scriptures, that was written in ancient Sanskrit. I just took it from, this is directly I took it from Wikipedia. I have not done the analysis of these scriptures, but what the first line basically what he is saying, they are saying is at the beginning of time. So at the start, whenever creation, even before the creation happened, at that time there was neither existence nor non-existence. So they are trying to analyze, or they are trying to think on those directions, what could have happened even before the creation. So that is what they are describing.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Yeah, okay, so next one will be Nari, please.
Yeah, so I'll try to be very brief. I know I want to get on with the text too. So Arjuna's father, I'm going back into history. Arjuna's father is the one who ruled the kingdom. And then the cousin was eldest brother who is discontent because he didn't get, he felt he was the rightful heir to the throne. Could you clarify that for me? And then the last, something came up, the Ramayana and the Mahabharata you said they're real events, but the Bhagavad Gita, it's a conversation, kind of a spiritual conversation. It didn't really happen, right? Thanks.
See, the first part I don't know. Honestly, I don't want to give a wrong answer, because I have read the Mahabharata in the past, not in Sanskrit, in other Indian language, and that was very long ago. And 750 verses of Gita I have read in Sanskrit, but that takes quite a, now all the 110,000 verses of Mahabharata, I have not attempted to read or try to understand what all things have happened in the past, exactly what and sequence, in what sequence. But basically what Duryodhana, or the other side of the army, the son of Dhritarashtra, he is basically completely following adharma. He says in Mahabharata, I think after the war or somewhere during the war, he says, dharma, I understand dharma, but that is not my nature. So he will, even though he understands dharma, he will only follow adharma. So that the underlying fact is that the main reason for the war to happen is to protect the dharma. Now coming to Ramayana and Mahabharata, you said they are real events. So the discussion of Bhagavad Gita, that is, I would say it is 80% science and 20 or maybe 20% philosophy, and lot of things are spiritual, but mostly they are science. So if you can understand from science perspective, then you will understand it better than if you try to understand it from a spiritual perspective. So I'll explain that later. Otherwise, that requires a lot of discussion and explanation. So let me continue explaining who is Krishna. Then we'll come to each first chapter, etc. Then we can, we can discuss on those lines. Because I does that work?
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Because no, what I'm saying is the lot of questions that you are asking, they are covered in the next chapter. Because and as we go to each chapter, we can take those questions, and most of the things are covered in the chapter.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Some question is further will answer, and then okay. So we have Ashwari. You have a question?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi everyone. Thanks, Shravan, for answering all of those questions so patiently. I was wondering that since you mentioned that all the Hindu scriptures are prescriptive and not descriptive, so what is the intent behind this? What are the scriptures then trying to tell us?
Yeah, the scripture. Yeah. So the main see the Vedic dharma, or this what we call that is, so see, the Veda itself means vidya. It comes from the word vid, or knowledge. So the whole Indian philosophy, whole the culture, the tradition, everything that is focused on trying to know the truth, or to get a realization of what is actually true, or what is everything. And we are constantly in pursuit of knowledge. We are not in pursuit of reading a book and admitting that. We are in the pursuit of knowledge. That is why Krishna says at the end, I have told you everything, now you do whatever you want. So the whole whatever you read, or in Indian scriptures, if you read, they are all either the knowledge that the saints or the sages have recorded based on their observation and their experience and etc. And it is even our life's goal to attain the wisdom, or that supreme knowledge, that and that is covered in Gita also. Like you will understand, if I try to explain, you will understand what it means, the creation and dharma, karma, all that, what it means. That high level of knowledge, you will get it. But it is up to you. At the end of the day, it is up to you finally whether you want to accept it or not.
Yeah, thank you, Shravan. Yeah, I can answer this question quickly, because if you read the Chinese philosophy, like in what the Confucius said in the analog, and just the opposite, everything is prescription, not description. So yeah, I can. Shravan, please continue.
All right. So okay. So this is what I am. This Krishna. Who is Krishna, right? So so our supreme God is we call as a Narayana. The word Nara itself means water. So the Narayana is the supreme. He and he doesn't have it's eternal, undecaying, unchanging, supreme Atma, or it has no form and etc. It is like of that nature. And basically Narayana manifests himself as in three forms, that is Brahma as a creator, Vishnu as a preserver, and Shiva or Maheshwara as a destroyer. Now Brahma basically represents the entire creation, the entire cosmos, and everything that exists, whatever we know or we don't know, everything, that whole cosmos or the universe, that is Brahma. That is why on the left side you see Brahma with four faces, basically is looking in all directions. Now Vishnu as a preserver, he incarnates, or he Dashavatara, he means 10 avatar or Desi avatar, 10 incarnations. He incarnates 10 times. Now that this story of these incarnations are written in Vishnu Purana. So if you read Vishnu Purana around 20,000 verses, I think you will find this information of different avatars. Okay, so the first avatar, this is important. The first avatar is called Matsya or fish, and second avatar is a turtle, basically amphibian. Third is a Varaha, boar, a wild, strong animal. Then Narasimha, half man, half lion, or a half animal. Then Vamana, a dwarf man. Then Parashurama, a fierce man. Then Rama, a peaceful man. And story of Rama that it's in Ramayana. That is one of the big epics that happened prior to Mahabharata. Then Krishna. Krishna is Purnavatara. He is a complete avatara. And Krishna basically means black. So he is a black person. So that is why he is shown as blue, dark blue or so. And then it is said to be Buddha, a meditative man. And then the avatara, the 10th avatara that is yet to happen is called Kalki, and that represents basically end of the present age or the Kali Yuga. So at the death of Krishna, it is said to be the Kali Yuga starts, and so that is the age or the time that we are currently in. And during this time, the current time, the adharma prevails. That is that everything is against dharma. So till the end of Krishna, or at least till the war, mostly the dharma used to prevail. But during the war, the adharma starts creeping in. And at the death of Krishna, Krishna dies after the war sometime later, and the death of Krishna represents the adharma. That is what we are currently in. So, and this on the left side, it shows how it is visualized. Now, so if you see this is mostly a evolutionary state. Now let's go to the
just 1 minute. Rubana has a question.
Shravan, are you saying that Krishna is dead? Because I read a book where the sages in Vrindavan say he's alive and he lives in Vrindavan. That's number one. Number two, why not worship Narayana?
What was the first?
You said Krishna's death started the Kali Yuga, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So is Krishna dead according to Hinduism, or is he still alive?
He's dead.
Okay, because I read in a book, that British historian who lives in India. I forgot his name.
First of all, I don't read I don't read non-Sanskrit books. So
okay, he said he had gone to Dupree or something. I forgot his name. I have to look it up. And he said that he had gone to visit Vrindavan, and the sages said Krishna lives there. So that's one of my questions. And the second is, then why, if Narayana is the manifestation of the deity or the main deity, and the rest are his manifestation. Are there temples for Narayana? Because I've never even heard of Narayana.
Really? Okay, so see, the Krishna, what they are saying is he lives there. That doesn't mean he's in his saguna form or a physical form, right? So see, Krishna basically is in everything, right? So he is present in everything. That he himself explains later. So he is present in stone, tree, or anything that is created. He exists there. So Krishna, see, all these avatars, you have to understand that all these avatars are saguna form. Saguna form, when I say, they are a physical nature, or they have the attributes of a creation, that physical existence. Now these Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, and Narayana, they are nirguna form. They means they do not have a form. They are they are not considered to be like a physical existence, except Brahma, who basically Brahma means the entire creation. So when someone says that even if I say the Krishna exists in this pen, that means it is true. I mean, if I believe that he exists there, he exists there. That is how the philosophies, Indian philosophies, and that is why we have several so many gods, because you can take anything. The moment you understand that everything that is created is just a part of the entire creation, that is Atma, which is in everything, Atma, that is present in the stone and the tree and everything, and all the life forms, that and the Paramatma, that is supreme, that is basically the entire thing. It is one and the same. The divinity within you and the divinity, supreme divinity is, you are part of that. Once you understand that, then it means that basically you can pick anything and you can worship as that supreme being. That comes in the chapter later. If I try to explain everything right now, I'm not sure how many can actually follow. And what was the other question?
Yeah, and then just 1 minute. Shravan, your screen is like off, so the last part we cannot see it.
Can you see?
You have to move up a little bit. You cannot see it. The screen, the very bottom is gone. Like number 10 is gone.
There is this bar. How should I hide this?
Oh, then I don't know. But that's fine. Just can you move up the screen? Scroll up. No,
that's just how Zoom works. So yeah, the last line, I think the couple millimeters of that last line is missing. That's okay.
Okay, that's okay. Probably that's okay.
Hey, can I just say something very quickly? Yeah, can I just say something very quickly? I think we are spending too much time on archaeological and historical nature of this.
Yes.
Gita has nothing to do with history. Even if Krishna never existed, Gita has so much meaning, and I think we should let Shravan continue.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Shall please move on. So at least we have to have some taste of Gita today. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's start with the first chapter. Okay. So the first chapter is called Arjuna Vishada Yoga, Arjuna's sorrow. So what happens is, so like I said, Arjuna says, Arjuna tells Krishna, place the chariot between the two armies. I want to see who all are present to fight. So he says, Senayor Mayor Ubayor Madhye Ratam Stapaya Mechutat. Though he says, place the chariot, and he starts seeing everybody who is present there, and he starts realizing that he has to fight and kill all those people, like all the family members, his brothers, sons. Arjuna is around very old at this stage, and grandfather, parents, grandparents, everybody who owned a lot of kings and everybody, they are present there. And he starts explaining Dushtvevam Swajanam Krishna Yuyusam Samupastitam, that I am seeing my own people who have come here in the desiring of war. Sidanti mama gatrani mukam cha parishusyati. My sidanti basically sitting. My mama mine limbs are sitting and my mouth is parched. Vepastuscha sharire me roma harshascha jayate. And my skin is burning and I am unable to stand, my mind is reeling. So basically he starts expressing the sorrow that he has to fight and kill everyone, and he gets into a dilemma whether what is the right dharma, whether to kill or to be killed. So he starts questioning that, and he says they for whose say kingdom, enjoyment, happiness are desired are standing here in the battlefield ready to give up their lives and riches. So basically he says all have come in with the desires, and they have come here, they are blinded by those their desires, and they are come here in the battlefield to give up their lives and their riches. Now, after that, he starts explaining that things will happen due to the war. That is Kula Dharma. Kula means ancestry. What that the ancestry will be get destroyed. That is like if most of the men or all the men are there in the battlefield, if they all die, the ancestry will be destroyed, both Pandava and Kauravas. And he also says the destruction of the ancestry will create Varna Sankara. Varna Sankara means genetic impurity. It will create a genetic impurity. And Lupta Pinda means basically Pinda means Pitra means father. Though in our tradition we offer rice, etc., to the fathers during their anniversary, death anniversary. And eternal Jati Dharma and Kula Dharma are destroyed. So Jati Dharma means again it goes back to the Varna Sankara or the genetic impurity, and Kula Dharma again destroyed. So basically he says that all these eternal things that they have been doing all this for so long, and that required to sustain Dharma, all those things will be destroyed by the war. And he says it is better to get killed by the sons of Dhritarashtra or the Duryodhana and others by not picking his own weapon. At that time, if they kill, then that would be a better thing than fighting and killing others. And after that, Sanjaya says, Sanjaya is the one who is explaining to the Dhritarashtra, the blind king. Then he says the Arjuna sat down. Arjuna basically sat down on the back of the chariot, laying aside his bow and arrow with his mind taken over by sorrow. So he sits in the back of the chariot with the sorrow and keeping the bow weapons down. So this is the first chapter, basically what happens and what Arjuna experiences. Any question on this? Okay, okay, I'll move to the next slide. So this chapter is called Sankhya Yoga, or the yoga or the oneness of knowledge. So these are the first words of Krishna on what Arjuna, he starts talking to Arjuna. Sri Bhagavan Vacha, Krishna said, Kutastva Kashmalam idam vishame samupastitam anarya justam aswargyam akirtikaram Arjuna. Arjuna, where this filth came at this time of crisis, which isn't practiced by Arya, noble or great men, this will neither give you heaven nor glory. So Arya word basically means noble or great people, and it doesn't mean a race or anything else. Then he says, Klaibyam masma gama partha naitattvai upapadyate shudram hridaya dorbalyam tekto tishta parantava. Arjuna, don't be impotent. This is not good for you. Get away from this shameful weak-heartedness and stand up to fight. So basically, Krishna starts explaining telling Arjuna why he should fight, and he should not act like this. Now he starts explaining more on the spiritual or on the philosophical side. He starts explaining the eternality of everything, or the Atma. Like, this is not that I have never existed before, neither you nor these leaders of people. It's not that we will not exist again. Same as for the Atma. So Atma basically means the one has a body, or that occupies a body, or that has a body. Dehina, it is called as Dehina, means one that has a body. Same as for the Atma that has childhood, youth, and old age in a body, so does get another body. So brave don't get possessive about the body. Okay. Then he explains, I have skipped many of the verses because it is not, I am trying to cover only the important ones. And then he explains the indifference of happiness and sorrow. Then he says, like cold and heat, happiness and sorrow are induced by the conjunction of senses and objects, and come and go. Therefore, endure them. The brave man who sees both happiness and sorrow as same don't get bothered, becomes fit for Amrita. Amrita means the moksha, or the no death state. Then he explains about Sat and Asat, and basically he says, know that which pervades everything is indestructible by anyone. As a human sheds the old and worn out garment and wears a new garment, the Atma, or the one that has a body, Dehina, in the same manner gives up the old body and takes on a new and different body. So basically he's saying, even if you kill them, it is not that that eternality will not be lost. What you kill is that the physical existence, and the eternal nature of the Atma, that will not be destroyed by you killing them. And he explains what is its nature. Nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavakah, na chainam kledayantyapo, na shoshayati marutah. So he says, weapons cannot cut it, fire cannot burn it, water cannot wet it, and the cyclone cannot dry it. It's eternal, all-pervading, stable, and immovable, everlasting, unmanifesting, inconceivable, unchanging. Knowing this, you don't deserve to grieve. And for one who is born, death is a certainty. For one who dies, birth is a certainty. It is not proper that you grieve over something that is not an avoidable matter. And then he explains what will happen to the dharma. Like Arjuna is a kshatriya. Kshatriya means kshatra means a weapon. One who holds a weapon, a warrior. He says, by not performing his warrior dharma, he is not following his own swadharma. Swadharma means self dharma. And because of that, he will lose glory. Basically, what he says is, by not like for a soldier who doesn't fight in a war, it is a shame. So the people will make fun of him, and he will be remembered that way. And because of that, he will lose the glory. If you die, you will get heaven, and if you win the kingdom, so basically he says, if you die, you will have heaven, and if you win, you will get kingdom. So don't worry. See victory, defeat, gain, loss, happiness, sorrow as same, and fight. So he tries to explain things to him and try to motivate him to fight.
So, Shravan, let me ask you a question since nobody asked question. Okay, so So under the sentence, he said, for one who is born, death is a certain. For one who dies, birth is a certain. So is any in the Hinduism belief, is there any time between die and the reborn? Is there any that? How long does it take from die to
That
reborn?
depends on your karma.
So you mean sometimes it take long time, sometimes just immediately reborn?
So that he doesn't define exactly, give a timeline. So basically he says, based on your karma, whether you are performing dharma or not, you will go to heaven or you will go to narak or hell. See, in our Hinduism, heaven and hell, they are not permanent. They are temporary nature. Unless you attain moksha, you will get heaven and hell. And that how long you will stay in heaven or hell, that depends on how much of good deeds that you have done, or how much of you have contributed towards the dharma.
Okay.
So if your dharma is less, then you will stay longer in the hell. And
so between the life, you stay in the either heaven or hell.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
And also, I think at the end of this, he says, like in the Mahabharata, at the end of the Mahabharata, they die. The Pandavas, they die later, not in the war, and they go to heaven. And there is a separate story for that. But basically, first, if you have done good things, you go to heaven first. Then for the bad things, then later you will go to hell. First you will experience heaven, then you will go. They'll put you in a hell. So that is how it is. Then the cycle continues. So the time cycle in our tradition, that is time is cyclical, not linear. So everything is cyclical. Even the creation is cyclical. So of that nature. So okay, does that answer?
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, we have Nari has a question. Then
Yeah, sorry, it might be a little bit off track, but it's just to what Jason's question. I read somewhere that sometimes waiting to be reincarnated, you're waiting for the right body to get back into, or something like that. Maybe you could, tell me my ignorance here. Thanks.
No, I am not aware of that. And also, you cannot choose what will be incarnated, or it's not incarnation, it's a rebirth. So there is that difference. But basically, how you will be born again, that depends on what womb you will be born again. That depends on the type of karma that you have done. So basically, if you have performed good karma, then you will be born again in such a what you call yoni or womb. And if you have done bad, you will at a lower state. That is what he explains in the Gita. So but you cannot, you don't have a choice. The only choice that you have is you perform the right things in the current life.
Great, thank you.
SK, please.
Hey, yeah. So again, I think, we are focusing on archaeological, historical, and this whole idea of born and die, and, the Hindu philosophy of, there's going to be a rebirth and all that. I think, yes, that is a very interesting conversation. Nobody knows what happens after death. And I don't think Hindus know either. But really what this is about is daily we have a life, we have a lifespan. We are in effect living multiple lives in this life. The heaven is here, the hell is here. We are facing, we do bad things, we face it. We do good things, we get good rewards. Even the good rewards and the bad rewards, they're also kind of like the same thing effectively. So the whole idea of this Gita, what it is trying to say, I know all these other aspects are quite interesting, but really what it is trying to get to is this daily nature of like, hey, if I do something really awesome, I'm going to feel ecstatic and happy. If I do something bad, I'm going to feel really bad. So there is the sin, and then there is a good stuff that you're going to get. Well, from that cycle, how can we stop ourselves, because even happiness can lead to suffering, right? That's not going to stay with us for a long time. So I think what Gita is trying to get to is daily, how can you live in a very balanced, mindful way? That's how I want to take it. I mean, yes, there are all these interesting aspects about like life and death, but I don't think that's the main purpose of Gita.
All right, thank you. Rupana, have the question?
Yes, SK, you keep saying it's more spiritual Gita, but as Shravan said, that Gita is itihas, it's history. So if we question the historical part, if it is a historical document, there is nothing wrong in asking questions, especially for those of us who don't know about it.
Okay, let's put a hold on this one, because some will view as a historical, some will view as a teaching or description. Okay, so let's Shravan to continue. And
all right, okay, so from this chapter I picked this verse. Okay, so this says, now we are at the karma yoga side on this same chapter. Karma means action, and this verse says, yavanartha udapane sarvatah samplutodake tavan sarveshu vedeshu brahmanasya vijanata. Brahmana means one who understands the entire thing, or Brahma Jnaneti Brahmana means one who understands the Brahma. Brahma, like I said, the entire creation is called as Brahma, or Brahma can also mean huge because it represents the entire creation. So Brahmana is who knows everything, has as much use of knowledge from all Vedas, means all books, as one who has a large body of water all around, has use of for a pond. This is what I was saying before, that whatever you gain from the books, it is only relevant if you to gain the knowledge. And if you already have the entire knowledge, what you call as tattva or the fundamental facts of everything, you understand everything, and you have the entire knowledge, and you have reached that state of realization, then in that case the knowledge that you have gained from the book, or the relevance of the books or the Vedas, are like you are holding a small pot of water in front of a large lake. Then he says, karmanyevadhikare raste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phala hetur bhurmate sangostva akarmani. So he says, you have a right to action and never to its fruits, and no time you should your motive be fruit of all actions. Never should there be any attachment to inaction either. So he says, don't get possessive about the fruits of your action. You have a right to action, you don't have the right on the results, but you should never get attached to the inaction either. The wise ones with equable or intelligence give up the fruits of their actions, gain liberation from bondage of birth and death, and attain anamayam state, or the no name state. So he tells that to give up the fruit of action, that is explained later. I will come to that later, how you give up the fruits of actions, but basically he says that gives you liberation. Then he says how to control the senses. Yada samharate chayam kurmongani va sarvashah indriyanendriyartebhya tasya prajna pratishtita, means like a tortoise that pulls back all of its limbs at once, one who can control the senses through the senses, or a mind through the mind, such a person's mind is stable or steadfast. A person, while thinking about the sense objects, develops attachment to them. From attachments develops desire, kama. From desire develops anger, krodha. From anger comes forth infatuation, sammoha. From infatuation comes memory loss, smriti vibhrama. From memory loss comes loss of wisdom, buddhinasha. From loss of wisdom he falls. So he says, by the senses, and the desires, and how one emotion translates to other, and at the end it results in his fall. As the waters enter the ocean from all sides, the water in the ocean remains steady. Also the desires enter a person of steadiness, and he attains peace. So basically he's saying desires enter one who is steady. The desires doesn't make any difference. It is not so with the one who seeks desires. He who has abandoned his desires and who wanders free from desires and sense of ahankara. Ahankara loosely translates to ego in English. Basically, ahankara means I am the doer. Basically, he's saying the one who thinks that that person is the one who is doing everything. And mine or mama means one who thinks that everything is mine. So whoever is free from desires, ahankara, ego, and mine, such person attains peace. So this is again, he is trying to explain the, not to get possessive about the what is the people. Partha, this is the state of Brahmi. One who has achieved this doesn't get attached. Even the end of the time remains in same state and attains Brahma Nirvana, means he attains liberation or moksha. So someone who is having that state of mind even at the time of death.
No, grocery store sushi is never good.
Okay, so any question?
So why Krishna call Arjuna Partha?
No, the Partha is just another name. Partha word, I have to check what it means. But it is basically in the Gita, they call with different names based on their abilities. For example, he will call Arjuna as Dhanurdhara, means one who carries the bow, etc. Like that. So, so it is just another name for the same person.
Okay. Nari has a question.
Yeah, just clarification. I know that Arjuna called Krishna with 40 different names, i.e. the same person, Krishna. And Krishna called Arjuna by 20 different names. So when there are so many names for the gods, I know, is it just a one god, but just in different forms? Just to have a bit of clarity in that.
Yeah. So okay. So basically, like I said, everything is basically manifestation of that supreme divinity. You can call Narayana or Vishnu, or they all just basically at the end of the day, they are all just same. And the manifestations that based on your like, for example, for knowledge or wisdom, you go for Saraswati, right? Then for wealth, you go for Lakshmi. Then for power or your ability, you go for Shakti. So each god is just a manifestation of that supreme divinity. So so basically what the way it works is, like, if you see that, for example, we worship Ashwatthara tree. If you can see that supreme divinity that in that tree, then in that case you can consider that as God. So all the gods that are created, they are based on people's own perceptions and their own the way they can connect to the supreme being. So for example, like, if you go to to give in detail, if you go to a Hindu temple, you will see the god, the murti, right? The stone murti. basically those who come to the temple, they don't come to see a idol, they come to see the god itself. They see the god itself in that murti. That is because if you have the realization that all the creation and the creator, there is no separation between the creation and the creator. So in that case, the divinity within that and the supreme divinity, they are all just same. So that is how you see so many gods in our tradition.
Okay, so we have
Thank you. Thank you.
so we have SK, Rupana, and George. SK, please.
Yeah, so I think regarding the names, right? I think, again, the title Gita means Song of God. So it's a poetic rendering of the knowledge, right? So if you take those 40 words that Arjuna or whoever uses for Krishna, they literally have a whole meaning, right? So like, I don't know what John or Mary means, or in Christianity, maybe it means something, but the names in these that are given to people, they actually directly mean something that they did or they are about to do or they are doing. So all these names will, you know, if you really go to the depth of it, they actually have a meaning there, you know, that kind of identifies that person.
Yeah, Rupana, please.
Shravan, you said that they're all manifestation of the one God, right? So
Yes.
the thought that came to me is, well, then Shiva is a manifestation. Then is his son, what's his name? I'm sorry. Shiva's son,
Ganesha.
Ganesha, yes. Is he a manifestation? So did God then give birth to himself?
See, you are looking Shiva and everybody in a Sadguna form. That's why you are asking this question. In Viguna form, that is when the Viguna form means, see, Viguna, Sadguna means they, like for example, Krishna is a Sadguna form, means he basically he is actually present on earth physically. That is Sadguna form, where he has senses. See, Sadguna form basically means 5 elements, earth, water, everything, etc. 5 senses, the sensory perceptions, then intellect, then ahankara or ego, and then are the organs. So that is the Sadguna form, or the form of physical existence. In that, but in Viguna form, like when you say Shiva and Vishnu and Brahma and all, when you see them as a Nirguna form, so where they don't have those things, they are formless basically. And but this, when you say Shiva, Ganesha, son of Shiva, they are all manifestations. So when you say manifestations, they are all your own interpretations, or your own, I don't know how to explain in English. Basically, it's those gods are created by you. That's what I would say.
George, please. George, your turn. You have a question? Okay. Hi, George. Okay, so he's not here. So, okay, when you come back, ask your question. Shravan, you want to continue?
All right. So the third chapter is Karma Yoga. So in this section is basically talks about action. This is a very important chapter to understand Gita. So here basically Arjuna asks Krishna, it is your opinion that if it is your opinion that buddhi or wisdom is superior to karma, action, then why do you get me involved in this horrible act? Basically Arjuna asks questions to Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, and Krishna gives answers. So that's why Bhagavad Gita is called as Upanishad. Upanishad means basically Uparistitaya Guruna Upadishta Atma Vidya, means knowledge of Atma given by a guru or a teacher sitting next to a student. So here Krishna is a teacher and Arjuna is a student. So he's saying, Arjuna is asking, if in previous chapter you said wisdom is better, then why you are making to act? So then Krishna explains, no one even for a moment remains without doing some action. All people surrender to the gunas. Gunas, like I said, they are physical attributes because of the nature. They are bound to doing any action all the time, so which induce them to action. The one who restrains his senses by his mind and begins karma yoga without attachment is superior. Basically, he's saying you restrain your senses and you perform actions without any desires or anything, and karma yoga means oneness or union. By towards that unity, or by considering those things that I said, the entire creation and etc., someone when performs that action, that person is superior. You should do your work as prescribed to you, or shastra. Shastra means the scriptures that are give guidance or how to perform certain rituals and actions. For action is better than inaction. By inaction, even upkeep of body is not possible. So he's saying why Arjuna should perform action, and the reasons why it is evident that he has to do. Once during the leader of living beings, Prajapati or Brahma, like I said, because Brahma is represents the entire creation, and everything gets created within him, that all the life forms or whatever that exists, created people along with Yajna, and said, by this you bring forth more and more, and let it be giver of your desires. So basically all you have to understand is he created people and Yajna. Yajna, I will, in English it is normally said as sacrifice, which I don't fully agree with, but Yajna, I will explain it in detail. So this cycle, this is the cycle of what you call as chakra, or cycle of samsara, or the entire thing, how the things happen. From food comes the living beings, from the rain comes the food, from yajna comes the rain, and from karma comes yajna. Know that karma originates from Brahma, and Brahma originates from Akshara. Akshara means indestructible or imperishable. Therefore, all pervading Brahma is eternally situated in Yajna. And so this is how basically the cycle of creation, or how the creation happens, and it's called as chakram. So basically what is,
excuse me, what's the yajna?
Yeah, I will explain it. I will explain when I reach yajna. Yeah, because it has to be explained in details. Okay. So basically he's saying, from living beings or creatures and everything, they come from the food, and food comes from the rain, and the rain comes from yajna, and yajna comes from karma. So basically you can for the timing, if you just ignore yajna, basically saying all your actions result in rain, and from there you get the food, and then the living beings or the creatures are created, and then they perform action again, which again results in the cycle of rain and food and etc. So I just added this photo here to show you how actually it will look. So the rain is very, very essential for the generation of food. So if you are very close to farming, and if you have observed the cycle, that rain, it's not that rain should happen, a lot of rain should happen. It should happen at a specific time. It should not happen before or after, or it should not happen like too much or too less. and it should happen right amount at the right time. The reason being, if it doesn't happen at the right time, before it doesn't happen and it happens in between of the cultivation, the flowers and the seeds or the buds will fall and you will lose the food. So the rain is very, very essential, and it is very important to happen at the right time. Now so but how the rain is connected to action. So if you see in today's world, if you see, like for example, if you consider climate change or etc., they are resultant of actions that are done that are detrimental to this cycle or the creation. So when you do things that will result in or that bring changes to such an extent that the rain doesn't happen on time and doesn't happen properly, then that will affect the whole thing, the cycle, the food and the living beings. For example, if I ask my relatives, who are, a lot of them are farmers, and even if I go and where if you go to places where food is primarily created and highly dependent on the fall of rain, you will know that they will say that the rain doesn't happen on time and it lasts too long or too less, and it happens too much and it happens in the wrong time, etc. These days. So that has affected the rain today. So that is how the cycle continues. Now yajna, yajna basically, if you have read Gita, it will, in English translation, they will say sacrifice. Sacrifice, when they say, they mean like putting things to fire, like clarified butter, sticks, and lot of things. They make offering to offer to the fire. See, yajna, as described in Rigveda, yajna means the first verse of Rigveda says, Agnimile Purohitam Yajnasya Devam Rutwijam Hotaram Ratnadhatamam, means Agni or the fire. I praise you. You are the God, or you are the Deva, means God and light in a Hinduism. The word used to describe God is Deva. Deva basically means Prakash or light. So the word, it comes from the root word div, and that is why you say divine, because it comes from the same word. So the Deva, or you are the Agni or the fire. You are the light of the yajna. You are the one who takes care of the entire Purohita, means you take well-being of the entire town or the city. You are the Hotar. You are being worshipped on specific time, and you Ritwijam, you are being worshipped at specific time, and Hotaram, Hotar. So the main function of in the Yagni, or the fire in the yajna. So the offerings that you make to the fire, that I will show you the pic here. So the offering that you make to the fire, that fire takes to the divine or the gods, and they invite them to the yajna or that ritual, and that is what a material yajna is. So here, if you say, they describe different types of yajna. In one of them is material yajna, that is dravya yajna. This is what in a small family there someone is doing in their house. This is that type of yajna that people are familiar with. But what he describes here, he describes different types of yajna. So Brahma yajna, Deva yajna, you can don't worry about that. Indra and Samyama. See, this is important. Indra Samyama means control over senses, that is hearing, words, what you say, etc., and other senses, those all the sensory objects. Then Atma Samyama means self-discipline, or the control over self. Then tapas, or penance, or having control over the body, and etc. Yoga basically means oneness or union, the the thought of oneness or union, being part of everything, the entire creation. Swa Adhyaya means self-study, and ahimsa means not being cruel. Ahimsa doesn't mean not killing; it just means not being cruel. So he is saying these are all different types of yajnas. So the actions that you do should be such that you have all those things. They should result in these things, these type of uh, the control over the senses, the desires, and self-discipline, etc. When you perform your actions with the control over your desires, you are not being greedy, and etc., then it will result in a proper reign. So what we see today is because too much of desire and not control over senses and no discipline, and because of that it is affecting the rain. So that is the main part here, component here, which says what is what yajna.
Okay, Shravan, I think Audrey has a question.
I think I just asked
yeah.
you. I meant to, I raised my hand and I meant to take it down.
Okay.
But I guess I could just add just one thing, because I know George has been waiting to talk. But I just wanted to ask one thing, that so far what Shravan you're saying is that it has a lot to do with the motive, your action has much to do with your intention or motivation to make it the right action type thing. I'm using different terms, of course, because I'm trying to understand it.
Okay, so what basically is saying is the actions that you do, they you have to perform the actions such that that will result in a sustenance of the creation of this cycle. So basically what he is saying is, though in the war context, those people who are doing actions that are against this cycle, or that is not good for the creation to happen again, that is basically, like in this context, it is the rain will result in food and the living beings. So what he is saying is the actions that you are performing should be such that that will sustain the creation and that cycle continues. So if there are people who are doing actions against it, then he has to fight on that. That is becomes his dharma or his duty, to fight against things that are going against the creation itself.
Which means that this action has to be people that understand what that cycle is, what the right.
Yes.
I mean, so how does one learn that? I mean, is it
that
I don't need an answer. I'm just trying to.
I mean, I think that is you have to do your own. That is called swa adhyaya, means self-study, like he said, yajna of self-study. So you have to think, any action that you perform, you have to be conscious of your action,
Right.
to make sure that it doesn't affect the entire creation. See, the main if you just observe the entire cosmos, at least till we know today, we haven't seen any creation that is higher than planet Earth, right? You don't see this in Mars or any other planet, at least planets that we know of, right?
Yeah.
So the Earth is at the highest level of creation, because all these things, the animals, birds, and trees, and the sky, and everything exists only in this Earth. And your actions, if you go and cut each and every tree in the planet, you will be dead tomorrow. So the basically what he's saying is, your actions are what is going to sustain this, and it will continue the cycle, the creation cycle. And that is up to you how you that is requires a lot of what you call self-study, self-discipline, and those things. To when you perform any action, you have to be very conscious and make sure that it doesn't affect anything.
Okay, thank you very much.
So we have Madeline and SK, please.
Yes, thank you again, Shravan. This is great. My question is about line 3.7. So it's the third line down. Sorry, no, it's fourth line down. It's about line 3.8. You should do your work as prescribed to you. It's a question about that, but really about sort of the whole thing. As I understand it, it works on many levels, everything from the day-to-day, which I think SK was talking about, to the social level, which is to stay in your lane in terms of the class system or the caste system, and also in terms of what your Dharma has kind of laid out for you to do. And I'm wondering, so if I'm correct about that supposition that it works on, say, at least those three levels, how is it usually interpreted when people read it during ceremonies or when they read it in school or daily life? Is it taken to be a personal admonition? Do your work as prescribed to you, or is it more of a philosophical or religious teaching?
Okay, so one second.
Sorry, didn't mean to derail things.
No, I want to make sure that the translation is correct. And because it's English translation is at times it's a very loose translation. But Shastra basically means things that have been prescribed or basically that are related to rituals, like you perform certain things like a material yajna, or like you do a prayer, etc. That is called Shastras. Basically, Shastra comes from the word Shasana, means to govern. So how to do certain things, that is described in mentioned in the Shastra. So what he is saying is you have to do your actions as described in those or like when you are performing something, like for example like Ganita Shastra means the maths, or Astra Shastra means how to use a weapon. So that's how it is described. So that is what it means. But when you mentioned about caste system and etc., we do not have a caste system. So what we have is called as a Varnashrama system. People get confused. I think that India has a caste system. So basically, caste system in after 1857, first uprising against for independence, British they introduced in, I think, the next census they forced everyone to choose a caste. Until then, people were not following any caste as such. So that is what happened. So that is why people believe that there is a caste system in India. But Krishna explains here. He says, Chaturvarnam maya srishtam gunakarma vibhagashaha tasya kartaram apinam avidya kartaram avyayam. Means he says, 4 varnas, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra, right? Those are created by me. They are based on guna and karma. They are not based on birth. It is not that if you get born in like a Brahmana, you become a Brahmana. That is not how it was set up. It is based on your nature, your character or your behavior, etc., and your actions, what actions you do. So the caste system or Varnashrama system, what I call as Varnashrama system, basically means, like for example, Brahmana means the one who is in pursuit of knowledge, and Kshatriya means one who is holding a weapon, like Arjuna is a Kshatriya who is in possession of a weapon. He is a fighter, a warrior. Then Vaishya means a person who is doing business, and Shudra means one who provides service. So these 4 systems, even if you see in it doesn't matter which country, you will see that this even exists today. Like you will have people who are in pursuit of knowledge, who are academics, then you will have military or army people or other fighters, then there will be people doing business, and then there will be hospitality or service providers. So that exists even today, but the main thing is, this is at those days it was based on your guna and karma, that is means your nature and your actions, that but those are primarily focused towards sustenance of the creation or the dharma. So they are supporting blocks of a society. That is how it is. And did I answer that, or?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so we have a few hands up. Let's have SK, then George, then Rubina. Okay, SK, please.
Yeah, so I think, Shravan, that was really awesome explanation. And if I led Madeline to think that caste system is a prescribed thing, and if you follow that, that is going to give you happiness. That's not the point. The point is you get a duty assigned, you get your job in. If we all followed our duty, and what that means is like an assigned task, when you are given an assigned task, when you're doing that task, if there is anger or envy or any of that involved in that action, then that action is soiled. You know, it's a problem action, right? So you got to think about, is there greed involved in that action? Like when you're doing your action, is there greed involved in that? Now, also, I think if we further go into the depths of Gita, right, you know, or even Vedanta, where, you know, a lot of this thing comes from, you also question, like, who is doing the action, right? So there is the body that is doing the action, but somebody is observing that, right? You know, a conscious being is observing that. So the action itself, good or bad, comes from human perception. You know, like somebody is cleaning the toilet. That cleaning of toilet is perceived by the society that that's a lowly task, right? So eventually, I think India is roiled with all this caste system and all that stuff, right? Because I think even the knowledge of Gita and Vedanta and all of this stuff, I don't think most people really went to the depths of it. They got stuck with taking pieces of it on and how to control the society. You know, if I am the king, I make sure my son is going to be the king. If I'm a cobbler, I make sure that my son is a cobbler. You know, he cannot do something else, right? So and that sort of became the identity of India. But really, the religion, the philosophy, and everything does not prescribe that, which is what Shravan covered. That was really awesome. Yeah,
all right, thank you. So let's go to George. George, your hands up.
Yes, thank you. My apologies. Earlier, you had given me the opportunity to talk, but I was muted. What I, as my name might reveal, come from a Christian background where we are taught and we believe God is one. And when I compare that concept with my Muslim and Hindu friends, there is a big difference, especially with the Hindu friends. Muslim, there is no difference because they said, I mean, they believe that God is one, Allah ek hai, Muhammad ka Rasul hai, so that there is that God is one. But when I try to explain, I believe that where the one or many, those two are human concepts. God is beyond that. Therefore, when we try to box God into that concept or our understanding of one or many, we are limiting God, or we are bringing God to our level of limitation. So, for me, it doesn't make a difference whether we call that one supreme being, entity, many or one. That is one belief. But I try to make that argument to my Christian friends. I didn't go very far. They were not willing to accept that. So I would like to get your observation or your thoughts on it. Secondly, I want to ask one more thing. You yourself used the expression a couple of times in different ways, which was a little confusing. You said different, there are different manifestations of the one supreme being. Another time you said the different gods are a manifestation of the one supreme God. That was in response to one young woman here asked that question: is that one supreme God the manifestation of different gods? Sorry, different gods, the manifestation of the one supreme God? You said yes. So what, for a human being like me, what's the best way to understand? Is God one? There is one supreme being and different manifestations? If so, we Hindus, Muslims, Christians are in agreement. So I would very much appreciate you throwing some light on that. Or based, or that, what does Bhagavad Gita say?
George, okay, so I think you, Shravan, you want to answer this question? I'm sorry, I think this question could be too big, to answer. Shravan, you want to answer this question?
I can quickly answer that regarding manifestations.
Yeah, so we have a few hands up, so that's full. Okay, so go ahead, Shravan. Yeah.
Yeah, personally, I know exactly what other Abrahamic religions, how it's God is interpreted. I don't want to comment on those things, but in Bhagavad Gita, I will speak on the Bhagavad Gita and how it is in our tradition, Vedic tradition, how it is considered. See, so everything is, like I said, if everything is considered to be part of the creation, and the creator and the creation, they are not separate. So if you understand that anything that exists is actually part of that supreme divinity, including you and everything, even a stone, the Atma and Paramatma, the self and the supreme self, they are not separate. The divinity within us is part of that supreme divinity. There is no separation between that. So if you consider the entire cosmos, everything is part of that supreme divinity. So you are just a part of that. So, and even a stone or a tree is just part of that. Now the manifestations come from that. So if you, the way, that is the thought process you have to understand. I mean, I am trying to find ways to explain, because I can, for me it comes naturally. So if you consider the thought process behind the creation of the gods, right, in our tradition, that is based on this ideal. So Krishna says, even Krishna says, I am exist in everything, and I am just a part, everything is just a part of me. So if you consider that, then you pick anything and you can consider that as a god. So that is why in our tradition we have so many gods, because at some point someone choose certain attributes and certain the way they can connect with that supreme divinity, they try to find the certain ways. So if let's say, for example, if I say that I have that realization, and I feel that this, from through I can worship this apple, and from that I can connect to the supreme divinity, because I feel that this is part of that the divinity within this apple is not separate from the supreme divine. So this is part of that. So once you have that oneness, that is yoga. So once you have that realization at that level, then you can worship anything. That is why we have multiple gods.
Yes, very excellent. Thank you. Very, very well explained, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. We have a few hands up. Rupana, Ashwari, and Ambika. Okay, Rupana.
Shravan, you said something. First, I agree, SK, that I'm sure the caste system was built to control people. I saw a documentary and I was shocked that it has even seeped into the Indian Muslims. They follow the caste system, and I think it's to control people for financial gain. So, but you said something that it was the British who created it. That's not true. Manusruti, which is like 3,000 years old, mentions caste system and how the Brahmins came from Brahma's head and so on and so forth. And the last caste, they came out of his legs. The British may have exploited it, but it is mentioned in Manusruti. So
Okay.
it is a part of the culture, and then may have sipped into the religion, but it was part of the culture. And many say it was to control because...
See, that's what I want to correct that. It is not the caste system that existed there. That was Varnashrama system. And Varna, that Krishna says, he explains each Varna what their roles are. So he says 4 Varnas are created by me. So basically he says these are based on guna and karma. They are based on your nature and your behavior or nature, gunas, your own attributes and your actions. It is not, but he doesn't say it is janmata or it is based on your birth. So it is not fixed. So if you are a Brahmana today and tomorrow you say, okay, I am an academic today and I am going to fight, I am going to join the army, I am going to fight, then you become automatically, you become Kshatriya. So it is flexible. So it is nothing fixed. And I haven't read Manusmriti, but I have heard about the Brahmana comes from the head and hands, Kshatriya comes from the hands and foot and etc., Shudra and etc. See, these are again, they are very symbolic. And if let's say, for example, the divide that was created during those times, like I said, the propaganda that was created by forcing the caste system and making Brahmana superior and others as less than that, that was through the propaganda. That is not written there. So what is written is, like, I haven't read Manusmriti, but what I'm saying is, if let's say, for example, foot is the low, see, you have to understand the main thing, like every part of the body is part of the divinity. There is no good or bad in any part. So if entire creation is part of the divine, there is nothing, being a foot or a head or a hair or anything. And also, if it is, foot is so bad, or let's say it is so what you call less, then why everybody touch others' feet? When we go and touch, we touch the foot of God, we touch the feet of parents. So there is nothing of a discrimination in the actual tradition.
So, Shravan, just to remind you, we have 13 minutes left. Okay.
I have to cover this cycle. I have to finish that.
Okay, so then you decide you probably want to finish, okay, to the point, then let's make sure all the answer. Okay, then we can go to the answer.
Yeah, I let me finish this slide,
yeah,
then we can whether stop and if,
yeah, please.
I can take the questions afterwards. Let me finish just this slide. So so we were talking about the action. Now this is important. Brahma, he says, actions come out of Brahma. So like I said, Brahma represents the entire creation, the entire cosmos. So that includes us. So even the entire whatever that exists, that is part of Brahma. So that is what he means by because living beings are also part of Brahma, the entire creation. So basically, so for that reason, the actions come out of Brahma. Now Prakriti, Brahma has 2 aspects. One is Prakriti and Purusha. Purusha means Atma or and Prakriti means creation. And Prakriti is the part that is destructible, kshara, that is destructible. Like, for example, I will die someday, so I am destructible. So that is what it means. Prakriti or Kriti means creation. So Prakriti or the nature, that is destructible, that is the physical aspect of Brahma. But the akshara or indestructible or imperishable part of Brahma is Purusha or Atma. So so basically what it means is, to explain it, let me explain it in a way. So let's say if a tree dies, let's say if I die, then I become dirt. Then some point I will become a plant again. Then I will become a tree again, or I will become a fruit or food. Then I will be another living being. Then the cycle will continue. So even though the physical nature of the things have destroyed, the Atma or that supreme thing that makes all of us, that will never be destroyed. The part of that creation, that will always exist. So the basically means it will never be lost, that supreme thing, or that is called as Atma. So if you in one of the chapters, Krishna describes himself, his gunas or his character, and he says, I am Anoraniyam, means I am atom in atom, or I am smallest of the smallest. He's saying basically I am smallest of everything. So let's say, for example, you cut an apple and you dissect the apple and you reach a state of atom and you reach a supreme state of that. And when you dissect further and reach a state which is the supreme state, and you choose a stone and do the same thing, everything will, at the end, it will be just the same thing. There will not be any difference between everything. Everything will be just same. And that supreme existence of everything, that will never be destroyed in the entire creation. So that undestructible or imperishable part of Brahma, that is called as Atma, or the entire thing, and that is Purusha. Now the destructible part, the physical, the Saguna part that has senses and the objects, that are called creation or Prakriti, or those are that part aspect of Brahma. So the Brahma has two aspects. So he is saying the creation comes from the indestructible, that supreme thing, or Atma. So Brahma, Brahma comes from Akshara, and from Brahma is basically creation, and from that comes actions, and the actions that are being performed with self-control, with the discipline, and such that it results in rain, and that creates food, and that creates creatures or creation, and that again those living beings perform action again, and then the cycle continues. That chakra basically says set in motion, thus enjoys those, does not follow the wheel or the chakram in motion, thus enjoy sensual pleasures or desires. They continue doing their own satisfying their own desires and live a futile sinful life. So, and then he says, yadyad acharate shreshtastat devetaro janaha sa yat pramanam kurute lokas tadan vartate. So he says, whatever a great person does, and show others with examples, then whole world follows. I have no assigned duty to perform. There is nothing I need to gain that has not been gained. Yet I am engaged in action. If I ever do not perform any duties with great care and attention, all would follow. my path in all respects. These worlds will be ruined if I do not perform action, and I shall become the agent of miscegenation and shall be destroying these beings. As the ignorant act with the attachment to their work, the learned should do their work without attachment, but with a desire to hold the world together. That is dharma, that is to uphold the world. So he's saying, even though he doesn't have to do anything, because successful or great people, the world basically follows great people, he still have to perform his actions in the physical form, because if he doesn't do that, then even then the world will follow him. So for that reason, he still has to perform the actions so that he doesn't become the reason for destruction. So that the world can be upheld. So basically he's telling Arjuna that you have to perform your action or his karma, because if you don't, the world will follow you, and that will result in the downfall of the world or the dharma. No. Yeah, Jason.
Okay, so all right, so probably we just finished the formal presentation now, and then right now let's answer all the question, and then Shravan, you can stay for a while, right? So
yeah.
Okay, so Rubena and Rubena, please.
I don't have a question. I'm sorry. I don't know how that went up.
Okay, so who's the Ambika, right?
Hi, I just want to thank you all for doing this, and Shravan for offering such detailed explanations of things. I just wanted to add that all of this together, we're talking about an interconnectedness of all life, and that's how I understood it. I was born and raised in India, but I'm now in Los Angeles. But I remember as kids, we were told to do the Gayatri Mantra and end with Hey Krishna Bhagwan, aap hame chalte chalte nazar aaye, which means, dear Lord Krishna, please appear to us walking. And so, some people have brought up that they were told he's present. And this is how, one of the ways by which we may keep some of these images alive. And what is also interesting to me is that the Hindu-Indic philosophy also allows for atheism. It's all part of it. I know when I was 14, I became an atheist. I was questioning all the problems in the world, and I said, there is no God. But the whole thing changed because we are all part of everything. We're so interconnected. And that's how, when Shravan explains in detail all the dharma and the preservation of one thing and the other, and one single thought affects everything as well. So I want to thank you for this because it was so very meaningful. So
I want to add that. So she mentioned about atheism. So basically, it is the word used is nastika. Na asti means doesn't exist. So, like for example, that is where what I said. Like if you are at a state where you haven't realized and you are yet to see that divinity, like others have, like there are so many gods, right? People have chosen certain gods. Some follow some god because they can have that connection. But if you are at that state of where you are yet to realize or yet to gain that knowledge, that is an acceptable state.
And I just wanted to add also, I'm sorry, can I fit? Nadia, okay. I just want to add too that there's so many practices that teach us to embody. There are some practices where you do the mantra on different parts of your body, and that sound is frequency. And it is through that understanding also that things shift internally. And that particularly happened when I was studying Sri Vidya. And it doesn't matter which deity you worship, because each one has a frequency, and it all transforms internally as well. And for me, it's also a poetic and creative process. So thank you for all of this. Yeah, and if somebody really wants to hear us chanting on Tuesday, I'll send you a link if you want. It's out free. we're doing different deities. So thank you.
All right, thank you. Nari, you have a
Yeah,
question?
Shravan, I just want to thank you so much for this lovely presentation. I really enjoyed it. I've learned a lot. So I know different spiritual paths are calling the field differently. Are you calling it Atna? Is that where we all get to the same place where we become one? We're one. I didn't quite get the
Yeah.
word. Was it Atna? Is that
Atma.
how do you spell that?
ATMA. It's actually AATMA.
Thank you.
Can you see the screen? It's here. That is the state of imperishable state, but the Atma basically represents the entire thing, entire creation itself. So already the concept of our tradition is such that we are already not separate. That is what it means. The divinity what exists, or the Atma that exists in everything, is part of the supreme Atma, or the supreme divinity. So in that aspect, everything is already one. But when you realize that, that is called as yoga. You become a yogi. That is, you understand the union of the one, or the oneness of everything, and that state you are a yogi. So here that is what I was explaining earlier. The Atma, basically that supreme and indestructible, imperishable state of Brahma, the creation.
Great, thank you. And I just wanted to add something. I was in India and I traveled and I spoke to some civil servants in India, and they, like in Canada, I live in Canada. So we have something called employment equity, where if you're from a visible minority group, you're the federal government or provincial, they're mandated to hire people from all designated groups. And so when I was in India, I asked a question, and because of this caste system, and they told me that yes, they had it in their civil service to hire people from different caste system. I don't know if you're aware of that or not.
No, I don't have the government background, so I'm not aware of that.
Yeah, so
But
yeah, I know the scriptures are going to say something, but in reality,
that is see, yeah, I'll explain that. That is the what you call reminiscence of the colonization of India. The mindset has to be changed. That requires tapas or penance itself. So the people are still thinking in the same direction, and that changing that will take a lot of time. There is still being a lot of work being done on that to change and correct people and bring them to the right direction, to decolonize their mind, but it is very difficult. And that is in the everything, that is in all the systems.
Yeah, is that so-called the scheduled group? Because I think in Indian have something scheduled group.
Scheduled group is, I think, I'm not sure exactly. It is basically tribals and etc. So it is scheduled caste, basically tribal and people who are less fortunate, who live in the they are not reach the state, minimum wage and etc.
So we have Claudia and Joe. Okay, please.
Yes, Shrikant, when you said that once you reach yogihood, you become a yogi, you understand, that everything is one, united, like an interconnectedness, right? I think what you really mean, I believe, right, is that not only do we know, not only does the yogi know, he also experiences that unity, right? It's just not the way it's experienced, yeah. Because people are able to know that everything is interconnected, right? We're all made up of the same underlying stuff, quarks, right? Whatever, electrons. So you have to experience it as well. As the only way is through yogi, correct? Yoga.
Yeah. So yoga doesn't mean like yoga, the exercises that you do, yogic exercises or the asanas, that is just one part of that. That prepares your body to be flexible and take the, do a meditation and etc. That is the physical part of yoga, and that is just one part. I mean, Krishna explains exactly how to do things and how to become a yogi as well in the next chapters. And yogi also doesn't become just because of he gives up all the actions or anything. He has to have control over the desires, and the actions also should be towards such that is, should be in the right direction, etc., to sustain dharma, etc. But main thing is there should be control over desires and etc., but also have to have a realization.
Yeah, I said, I'm sorry, so quickly, I said that's the only way to know, but according to Hinduism, that's the only way to experience that oneness. But
No, I mean, you don't have to be a yogi to become experience oneness. If you have already realized that, you are already experiencing that. You're already in there. But to be a yogi, you have to do like you have to have control over senses and etc. But that is required in everything. But you don't have to be a yogi to experience it. But if you become a yogi, then there are different things that he will explain later. I'll when I come to that, I'll explain.
Okay, thank you. Anyway, it's very difficult, I know. Because I've been in trying to explain the Chinese philosophy, something like this. Yeah. Anyway, Joe and the Mandarin, please.
Thank you so much for presenting today. I know this is kind of a basic question. It's just about the question of sin and the concept of sin. Is it just totally related to one's desires, their inability to control their own desire? Is that essentially what they mean by the concept of sin? I'm looking at 316 specifically within the wheel.
Yeah. So this is not just about desires. See, the main part aspect of controlling the desires is basically because when you do your actions without controlling your desires, you are performing things because of your greed and etc., your senses and etc. You will do things that are goes against the nature. Like for example, today, like you do things like anything that you are doing today or that has been done so far that has resulted in poor rain in some places or etc. That is basically actions are against the creation process or the cycle of creation, and that is because of your own desires. So the sin, basically the word sin as used, there is no other word, but the actual word that is used is papam or etc. Sin doesn't really translate to exactly what I'm in English word sin, it gives a wrong impression, but basically it means your actions should be such that sustains the creation or basically upholds a world, that is dharma. So if your actions are towards sustenance of the creation and the cycle of creation, then you are not performing anything wrong. But if you are doing anything against that, that is considered as a sin. And that is, everything is based on the context. So you have to be very careful. For example, you have to understand the self dharma and etc. So for example, Arjuna killing the Kauravas, that doesn't result in sin because he is doing that to sustain the creation or the protect the dharma or the how the things happen. And but just killing somebody for your own desires or for some other reasons, for your own satisfaction, that will result in a sin because you are taking a creation away.
Okay.
You are taking a good creation away, and someone is trying to kill you also. If you don't protect yourself, you are committing a sin because you are also part of the creation, that you have to realize that you are also part of that supreme creation or the divinity. So it is, everything depends on the context and whether it sustains the world or not.
Thank you very much for that.
All right. Okay, so let's end the recording.